Welcome to another episode of Stay Paid. I'm Joshua Stike along with Luke Acree, and today we have a really cool guest.
Yeah, really great guest. But can we just take a moment to admire these Nike shoes?
Look at these shoes
that Josh has.
They're glowing.
They are.
So I'll tell you a little bit. You got to watch the video on YouTube, youtube.com/ReminderMedia to see the video. But when I bought these, I bought them because I thought that they were red and black. They're kind of pinkish.
Yeah, they are kind of like a pinkish orange. No, pink. Yeah,
you're right. Pink. I said pink. Jesse said orange.
Yeah, like a pinkish orange. But he said red and black because our company.
Yeah, I bought them because I thought that they would look good on the podcast as red and black Reminder Media. I bleed red.
Yeah, he does. He truly does.
Reminder Media red.
It's really interesting too because it's purple and then it comes out red when he bleeds.
It's weird. No, I did. I bought them because I'm a company man. I thought they're, but anyway,
I love them, dude.
I like wearing the different shoes on the podcast. It kind of keeps it interesting. But today our guest has nothing to do with shoes.
No, but this guy is a infectious personality. You'll hear me say that. I loved interviewing him. It's so funny. It's like successful people, when you get around them, you just can tell. Like, he reminded me so much. I mentioned this on the show. He reminded me so much of Will Penny, who is another successful real estate agent that we interviewed in Ohio. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like a carbon copy.
Yeah.
Because success, it leaves clues. It has traits.
And I think that the common bond between them, and you'll hear this in the interview, so you want to stick around and kind of hear how he speaks about his real estate career and how he's treated it, is the fact that they look at it as a business, not just a job and not even a career. He actually made the distinction. It's not even your career. This is a business that you're running. So he gives some tips on not only the mindset there, but how he goes about building a team around that idea of it being a business. So we're going to introduce him in full in just a minute after the intro, but wanted to read this week's featured review. Comes from Maggie Team MCM via Apple Podcast. She says, motivational, 5 stars. I have been in real estate for 30 years.
Wow.
I now lead a team. So Maggie leads a team, and your podcasts are helpful to recreate our business. We are always looking for innovative ways to serve clients. Great practical information. We also love the magazines that Reminder Media does, and so do our clients. Thank you for the constant motivation to keep improving how we serve our clients.
That makes me feel good. That's awesome.
Thank you, Maggie Team MCM, for leaving that review. If you're not subscribed to Stay Paid on Apple Podcasts, we would love if you do that, as well as leave us a review and a 5-star rating just to kind of let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear from you. And now on to this week's episode.
From Reminder Media, this is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business. Hosted by the VP of Marketing, Josh Stike, and Reminder Media's president, Luke Acree. So get ready to hear the golden nuggets that will allow you to live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today.
Today we have on Dave Panozzo. He is the co-founding owner of the Panozzo team HomeSmart, a leading real estate team in Phoenix, Arizona. Dave's been recognized by Forbes, HomeSmart, Thrive Global, The Today Show, HGTV's House Hunters, and tons more for his expertise and experience as a real estate agent and media personality. As an agent and professional development thought leader, Dave has a wealth of knowledge to help up-and-coming real estate agents build a powerful business and achieve their greatest potential. Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. This is cool stuff.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to have you guys. Dave's personality too is infectious. So he's gotten on the podcast with us. Josh and I now have been at this for 3.5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And so we get to interview a lot of people, and it's just crazy, like the differences in personalities. But Dave's personality like draws you right in. So I'm excited for this interview. You guys got to watch it on video too. So make sure you check out our YouTube channel. But Dave, just take a second. You're really successful in real estate, have a really successful team. Walk us through a little bit of your life journey, how you got into real estate, what led you up to today.
Well, it wasn't easy. Okay. It was a crazy road. I've only been in real estate. It's going to be actually 5 years this May. Okay. I've been in real estate. My whole journey up to real estate, like if you had the win column and the loss column, like my losses in life are insane. I have about 3 to 5 wins. Okay. The rest of them are all in the loser category.
You only need one hit wonder, right? One hit.
Oh my God. I swear, I'm 53. Okay. I have gotten my ass kicked. And what I have found is that from each little experience, when you get your ass kicked, you get your feelings hurt and you feel sorry for yourself. Okay. And you mope around. And earlier on in my life, I noticed that I would have these massive losses and I would mope. I'd be the victim. I felt sorry for myself. But then as the years go on, I would look back and say, oh, wait a minute. I needed that lesson for this next step, and then so on and so forth. So now here we are. I got out of the military in 1991, went through a whole bunch of, and literally I am now at a point to where I'm applying everything that I've learned up until this point in real estate. And it's kind of like this really cool effect that I can share my wins and losses with my teammates. My wife is my partner in crime. We've been through a bunch of we just celebrated 30 years of marriage. So
nice, congrats.
Thank you. It has not been easy, the ups and the downs and the all rounds. And so I'm very fortunate now to be able to step back and look at that and look how far I've come and apply what I've learned in today's current business. And it's going really, really well.
How has this year been for you, 2021, with COVID obviously just happening? What are you guys looking like from a transaction standpoint?
We're looking good. We're actually, I'd say about a dozen deals ahead of last year. Okay. We did 196 deals last year.
Okay.
With, the whole COVID thing, which was crazy. This time last year, we're running around with gloves on and masks and stuff. like we're in some
alien
weirdness.
Yeah.
Okay. and now we're like, I don't see any cameras. Take your mask off, type stuff. So it's kind of funny. This past year was definitely the year of pull your big boy panties up, lace up the bootstraps, roll your sleeves up, and get down and dirty. I mean, it has not been easy. And now here we are. Now we're having inventory shortage. I mean, here in Maricopa County in the Phoenix area, we have a 2-week supply of homes. Okay.
That's crazy, man.
It's insane. And, we both list and work with buyers. You're putting in offers and you're going up against, 15, 20, 30 offers. So it reminds me of the Thunderdome. 2-man enter, 1-man leave. And you just, go after it. So.
Well, what would you share with agents that are, I'm hearing that all across the country. I spoke on a webinar this morning to an office in Texas, Austin, Texas. Same idea, like they're dealing with the inventory shortage. What would you say to agents to try to help them from that perspective?
You got to get creative. You have to go so creative. Now, this is a true story. I just found out our deal was accepted this morning. Long story short, I won't go into all the details. Went to this open house on Saturday. Take in mind, the open house was only 1 hour from 10 to 11. I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus, this is going to be one of those, total circus atmosphere. I show up at like a quarter till. It looks like someone is having a high school graduation. I mean, the street, there must have been 50 cars on the street. We go into the house. It is a complete show. There's bodies everywhere. There's I think they probably had 4 or 5 agents there. And I'm with my client. I'm like, hold on to my arm. I go, don't be scared. We're going to go look at everything. So we do the little tour. She's like, ooh, I really like this one. And we've been working with her for a while. And I'm like, all right, let's go talk to the listing agent because that's kind of what you do. And we go up to the listing agent. She shakes his hand. I really like your home. I think we're going to be putting in an offer. And I told the agent, I said, hold on a second. I said, let's get one thing straight. I go into my pocket. I pull out $100 bill and I'm like, I want you to remember me. And he looks, he goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm going to give you $100 bill so you can remember who I was. So when my offer comes over, we already have that connection. He thought that was the funniest thing. I mean, he took his mask off. He's laughing his ass off. Okay. So that's step 1. Step 2, we put this offer together. And I mean, we're getting creative. We're doing, we went over asking price. We're paying the seller's title fees. We let them lease the home back for 2 months for free. I mean, we're doing a lot of crazy stuff.
Jeez.
I even threw some commission at it to go back to this seller just so his bottom line was better. Plus, I was working with a cash buyer, which was nice. And we were up against there was 10 other offers. These other offers went up to like 1.75. I mean, it was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And our offer was less, but because I built that relationship with the agent, he goes, you know what? Out of the 60 some people that came through that open house, not one buyer's agent came up to me to introduce themselves to me.
Wow, that's that's a golden nugget right there.
That is communication 101. And I think what people are doing, they're forgetting about communicating nowadays. Hey, I'm Dave, you're Bob, you're Jim, you're this. No one does that anymore. And see, I'm old school. So I'm taking the old school stuff, combining it with the technology aspect of being able to cheat a little bit with the text messaging and things like that.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's pretty simple. Just put your hand out, say hi. If you're scared of COVID, just knuckles.
Or elbows.
A quote of the day. If you're scared of COVID, just knuckles.
Till we start toe tapping.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've done it all.
Wait, that's kind of crazy. I want to hear that story. You've been toe tapping? All right, so talk to us. So
like people go to shake your hand and then they retract, and then you go knuckles, and then they put their hand out. And you're like, how about this? We'll just do elbows.
So talk to us a little bit about this concept of you're running a business, right? And you're not just an agent. And I know that's something you're passionate about, right? You've done, you're 6 deals you said last year? That's a massive amount.
How many on your team? Is it just you and your wife, or do you have a larger team?
My wife and I, and we have 4 salespeople.
Okay. So you have like a SEAL team, massive amount of transactions happening. Walk us through like what your business looks like. How do you get it done? What are the structures you've implemented to be successful?
Well, and that's you hit the nail on the head. It's a business, okay? So many people that, from what I see, get into this. They're like, "Oh, it's my new career. It's my new job." You're done right there. This real estate world now, with the way things are going, the way that the solo agents out there, they're getting beat up. Okay. I've had a lot of interviews with solo agents because I'm thinking, hey, a solo agent would be a perfect fit. They're getting beat up out there. Let me show them how our systems and processes work to be able to streamline what they're doing so that they can sell more. And typically when I talk to a solo agent that's been in the game a while, and I ask, how many houses have you sold? And they're like, 15, 18. I'm like, how would you like to double that? They look at me like, well, I don't have a life now, so how the heck would I be able to double my business? Okay. And then I go into, with the systems and processes, our listing coordinator, our transaction coordinator, our CRM, and the way that we, do our business, it streamlines it so that you can get out there and do what you do best, and that's sell. They don't get it. They don't get it. And once again, this is a conveyor belt. The lead comes in, the lead gets handled. You go out and show, you go under contract. Once it goes under contract, then it's just a simple process until it closes. And most agents get bogged down with the paperwork. I'm the worst with paperwork. Okay. If my wife was here, she'd be like, oh yeah, that's true. Because what I do best is being out front, waving dollar bills at people, interacting, showing houses or going on listing appointments. That's the piece that agents at this day and age get choked out at. Because whenever you see an email from an agent come over anytime after 11 p.m. at night, they're 90% of the time a solo agent. You know what I mean? Because they're working, they put the kids down to bed or they're wrapped up their day and now they're working. Where with our team, that piece of it's taken care of during business hours.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, and so many people get into real estate for freedom. They get into real estate
to control their own hours and
for
the
flexibility.
Hours control them. Yeah.
It's crazy, the pain point there. I'm curious because obviously the idea here is you document, you delegate. I forget who came on the podcast, and I think it was Joey Gilkey. So I'm not positive, but maybe Ariel can find it.
Well, I know that we talked with Patricia Katiki, who brought it up in her interview.
Okay, Patricia Katiki. Yeah, so that was a great interview. But it's you do it, you document it, then you delegate it. And the idea there is the leverage. So walk us through systems. So our most commonly asked question is lead generation.
Where do you get the leads from?
Yeah, where do you get the leads? So can you talk a little bit about your lead generation systems and how you bring the leads in?
So with my wife being an agent of 19 years, okay, so when we combined efforts, she had been an agent for almost 14 years solo by herself. And she had her own system set up. And the way she devised her system was back in the day when the market crashed, she got a hold of an REO account with Bank of America. So she learned very quickly what systems and processes were all about.
Yeah.
So we kind of had the baseline set. So when I came on board, I'm like, okay, where are the leads coming from? What are you getting right now? And obviously I knew some of this stuff, but I'm like, okay, we're going to crank this thing up. I'm like, we're going to have 30 people on the team and we're going to have this and that. She's like, will you please relax? I'm like, no, there's tons of opportunity. So we started getting involved. We never did Zillow. Okay. We never got involved with any sort of Zillow because Zillow's.
Are you anti-Zillow?
Yeah, they're the devil.
They're the devil. That's a whole other conversation. I want to go down that road, but we won't for the sake of staying on topic. So so lead generation.
So we started signing up with different lead services and really stepping up our social game, our website, just all of it. We did it kind of across the board. Holistic. And once again, if there's some new lead service like a Home Light or an UpNest or something like that, we would sign up for it. Between her relocation accounts and things like that, the last time we checked, which was about a month ago, I think we have about 23 different lead sources.
Wow.
Okay. Now, some of those might spit out 1 or 2 deals a year, but it's 1 or 2 deals. Others might be 20% of our business. Others might be 31% of our business, but it's this nice spread. And then, of course, our own database of past clients that we are in front of a lot. So it's this crazy mix of all of this. Sometimes they fire off a lot in 1 month. Other months, maybe 1 or 2.
Yep.
But once again, you never know where your business is going to come from. And then on top of it, the referral aspect. We have a pretty decent reach on a nationwide basis because we're in Phoenix. So many people are coming here with our network of other agents out there. We're spitting out a lot of referrals. So
that's amazing. I think there's a really good principle there of diversification where you're not going to find just one lead source or even 1 or 2 lead sources that are really going to generate all of your business for you, nor should you in a way. Like you really should have a diversification of lead source. Now, here's the caveat I give is I see a lot of agents, they diversify in lead source, but it's really a lack of focus.
Yeah, they never let one thing play out.
Yes.
See if it'll work. Yeah.
You got to be in your lead source. You can have multiple of them. Let's say you have 7 different lead sources, but you have to know those lead sources and you have to have processes, almost like the flight checklist for each of those resources and what you're doing, what you're spending, how you're doing it, knowing that, hey, this might not pop out a deal every month, but it will pop out 3 a year that pays for the system or whatever I'm investing in. And I think a lot of agents fall down in that area.
Well, because once again, they don't look at it as a business. I mean, think about it. All you need is to pass a test, sign up with the local association, buy a box of business cards and a couple signs, and you're in business.
Yeah.
Okay. And everyone thinks it's a get rich quick scheme. And it's not. It's not. You have to look at this as a business.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were going to go buy a 5,000 square foot brick and mortar building, what else are you going to put into that? Oh, I need, computer systems. I need, a commercial TI done. I need this. I need that. I need marketing. It's all that. Well, if you can apply that same concept to a solo individual or a small team, you're going to get the results that you're looking for. But it takes time.
100%.
Like the Gary Vee story of, he was on the wine. What is his wine.com
or whatever
YouTube channel or whatever. for what, 10, 15, almost 20 years, and finally got some recognition. And I think that's the thing. Like, to me, being consistent is so freaking boring. I can't stand it. There's nothing sexy about it. Oh, hey, I've been consistent for 10 years. Like, ooh, everyone wants to hear about I tripped and fell and got this idea and I put it into place and I made millions. Like, oh my God, really? So now everyone else thinks you can do that, especially with the, social media. I mean, you can pretty much be whoever you want.
Everybody's successful on social media.
And then so, yeah.
Is that why you say teams are going to dominate? Because you're saying that from your perspective, a solo agent just doesn't have the capacity or the bandwidth to implement the systems to run the business.
I think so. I think they're tired. I'm tired, and I'm running a team. I mean, think about what happened this past year, you guys. Like, this past year was insane. World pandemic shutdown. I think towards the end of March, the beginning of April, it's like someone flipped the light switch for us. And it's been like that for everyone, okay? Anyone that's high-fiving saying, hey, look at me this past year, a blind squirrel can definitely find a nut, okay? Now it's a matter of what's 2021 look like? What's 2022 look like?
Yes.
Because right now, the landscape for being a real estate agent in this market, it is brutal, okay? And there's not too many people that have the wherewithal to be able to withstand that, especially if you're solo. Because, once again, you look in the mirror and you're like, hey, what's your problem, dude? You need to sell something. I'm tired. Whereas with a team, at least you can, hey, what's going on, Mary? What's going on? Kasha, hey, what do you need help with? Hey, why don't you try this, or why don't you say this, and get them back there in the game.
Well, I think the consumer expectations have risen just naturally with instant gratification, with
in terms of the level of service they require.
Yeah, the level of service, the speed of service, the ease of service, and so they expect a different level. And I think a team allows you to have, like you said, every piece of the assembly line worked out. So from the time we generate that lead to the time we actually close the deal, it's a smooth process for them all the way through. And you've kind of systematically laid that out. And that's what every business owner needs to do, is systematically lay that flight check out. I got to ask you though, I'm curious, how is it working with your significant other? How is it?
It's awesome. It's awesome. Well, here's the thing, 30 years of marriage. Okay. So, for all the guys and gals out there, they're like, hell no, I can't even go on vacation with that. Okay, so here's the thing. You have pros and strengths, okay? Usually most couples or business partners always say, well, I wish he could do what I did, or vice versa. Well, that defeats the purpose. We each have our own strengths, okay, that we're really, really good at. And so she's really good over here, I'm really good over here. When that overlap happens and there's that little piece in the middle, that's where the magic happens. She stays in her lane, I stay in mine, we work together. Okay. That's the biggest thing that we learned right from the get-go was, let's make sure we know each other's roles. And like, when it comes to the back end with the TC listing coordinator going over, I am not involved in that. Every once in a while I get pulled in and I'm like, I just want to let everyone know, I'm not supposed to be in this meeting.
I don't belong here.
So please don't take anything wrong. And of course, they don't step into my world of the marketing aspect and the social media and some of that stuff. So everyone has their place.
There's so much truth in that, and knowing what you're good at and staying in your lane. One of the best pieces of relationship advice I ever got was envisioning your relationship like a triangle, and you two are at the bottom, right? And as you move closer to a centralized goal, you move closer together. And most relationships, they break, or most business partnerships or whatever, because the goal gets misaligned. And so it's like moving towards that goal is what's going to keep you kind of on the straight and narrow for accomplishing something as a team. I was just curious, for 30 years and then you're working together, it's got to be interesting. So that I appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, dude, we paid our dues. Like, listen, for better or worse, trust me.
All right, well, make it sound somewhat happy. I mean, come on. No.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, once again, people want to do what I do, but they don't want to do what I did.
Wow.
Okay. And it's amazing because everyone wants that quick fix. They want that shot in the arm, and everything's going to be fine. No one wants to pay dues. And I'm not saying you have to do it on your own. If I'm going to give you advice on something that didn't work for me, but you still do it, guess what? You're going to pay dum tax on that. Okay. Yeah. Shame on you. Why? And I think as you get older, you just don't give a shit. And so if someone says, hey, don't do that because this won't work, you're like, oh, thanks for saving me time. I'm going to do it the way you said to.
Yeah.
But once again, hey, when I was in my early 20s, I knew everything.
Yeah. It's amazing how much you knew when you were younger, but you realize you didn't.
You basically,
everyone was stupid. And especially any older person, they were definitely dumb. Now here I am, I'm 53.
And I know nothing.
It's like, oh my God.
The more you learn, the more you realize you know nothing. Well, we got to talk to you about, because obviously you're a marketing guru, right? And you're really big on video, right?
Yes.
So you do a lot of video content. You've had a lot of success there. Can you walk us through what that whole strategy looks like, what you're trying to do from that perspective?
Well, I wanted to be different from day one. I wanted to just change it up. And I didn't want to do all of the, hey, just listed, just sold, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm a real estate agent, okay? I should be selling, I should be listing, I should be doing that piece of it. So it's no different than if I was an owner of a McDonald's and be like, oh, look at me, I'm flipping burgers. Well, no, you're McDonald's, right? So I wanted to change it up. I wanted to be more authentic. And when we went down this road of saying, okay, we're going to put ourselves out there. Number one, be authentic, be you. Okay. I see so many people out there with the, renting the Lambos or walking around the $2 million houses, acting like they're working with their laptop and stuff. And, I'm poking fun at people, but guess what? How does that look to the client? It's all about the client. And that's the one thing that people are missing out on. What's the perception to the client? So our concept was, let's be us. Let's be 100% unscripted, authentic. Let's put that out there on all platforms so that when someone does Google Dave or Kim Panozzo or the Panozzo team, what comes up? And so that was our concept, because really the internet, social media, all that stuff is really our living, breathing resume, okay? Whether you're bragging about yourself or you're on vacation or you're with the family or if you're just helping others in the business, that's what people see. And so that was the angle that we took, and we've been sticking with that since day one, and it's working for us. It's working.
What type of video, how are you doing the content, I guess? Meaning you're saying you're going out there to be 100% you. What does that translate to in tactic, action when you wake up, in what you're doing?
Well, it just depends. If sometimes we'll do a vlog where I'll have my guy come hang out with me for the day and we'll just run around town and I'm doing stupid.
And he's filming you. Oh, nice.
Yeah. He's either, he's filming me doing lock boxes or showing me at an inspection or just basic 101 stuff. Every once in a while when we have a sexy listing, I might go there and do a little something, but I'm also showing people not only the house, but more important, what's around it. What else is in that area? Is there hiking? Is there biking? Is there golf? Is there shopping? Because I feel that people are more sold on the area, of the lifestyle versus the actual house.
Great point.
And so that's one thing that I like to do.
And have you found what's your most popular channel? Is it YouTube? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Where's your most popular?
I think it's Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram seems to be the one. We park, and shame on me, it's something that I'm working on. YouTube is uncharted territory in the sense that it's the second largest search engine. It's
the second largest site.
That I know for a fact I'm leaving a lot on the table. But I take all my content, I park it there. I'm just not leveraging it the way I should be. Of course, I'm on Facebook for that older demographic, but I look at it like this. Instagram, there's kind of a sweet spot there of, that younger generation they're getting older, the millennial thing. They're older now, right? What's the youngest millennial is, or the oldest millennial is in their 40s or something like that?
I think
Yeah.
you're born in 81, I think.
Wait, are you a millennial?
I am. I'm the original millennial.
Josh is the original millennial.
Yeah, the first. You all have me to thank.
Jeez. Yeah,
All
thank
sitting
you.
here.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Hopefully I paved the way.
Here's the $1 million
for you.
question, right? Is have you gotten leads or business, I shouldn't say leads, business from your content creation? How do you measure that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. So 2 things. When I'm meeting with a stranger, typically we like to send a couple different links to either our Google reviews, or I'll send them a link to our Instagram or maybe Facebook or something. I always, and it's kind of cocky to say this now, but it's like, well, Google me. You know what I mean? Like, I can say that with confidence because
Love that.
our shit is legit. And so I leverage that, because what do most people do? They Google something like, oh, it's for real.
Yep.
It's on the internet. It's real. It could be fake as all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But because they see it on Google, they believe it. And so with that being said, we try to get people to search us and to, look us up if we're especially going to meet with them. And what happens is sometimes they say, oh yeah, we checked you out. We know you're legit. Like, don't even bother going over your marketing plan. Or they'll bring up something like, oh, you have a really cute, granddaughter or something. Like, so I know that they did their homework and they were snooping on us.
Yeah.
And what that does is it kind of seals the deal.
Yeah. I'll take that one step further, because like you've gotten media coverage, right? In your bio, we read the Today Show, HGTV, House Hunters.
It's crazy.
There's a ton more.
Yep.
I went to your website. You were interviewed by, I think, probably the local news during the pandemic about what it was like to show virtual.
Yeah.
Like, that's a ton of credibility adding to you. When did you decide to start going after this media coverage? And if you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience, like, how do you even start to get their coverage?
I'm telling you, we've been blessed. Like, HGTV, it was one of those where, you get one of those hokey emails from some production company. You're like, okay, well, what kind of scam is this?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, banter back and forth a couple times. I'm like, hey, this is the real deal. Like, I'm going to pursue this thing. And so it was a matter of, like, I hammered on them for a while. Okay. Because I think what happens is they get so inundated, they don't know who's who.
Mm.
And so I really, really pursued that one. And that was a cool deal. My clients and good friends of ours ended up getting them on, and we did the whole HGTV thing.
And this was House Hunters?
Or House Hunters, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
Do they actually buy the house at the end?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's totally
Is
legit.
it actually real?
Totally legit.
All right. That's why we had you on the show, to find out the answer to that.
One of our team partners, she used to be in broadcasting, and so she called my wife like 2 weeks ago and said, "Hey, you want to be on the nightly news with Lester Holt?" She's like, "Yeah."
What? No way.
And literally, it happened within 2 hours. She had a contact from an old friend back in New York. One thing led to another. I set up, like, I'm in my family room right here with our whole setup. I'm setting that up. Next thing you know, she's being interviewed.
That's crazy.
For a deal. Yeah. So what happens is, I think, they start Googling, realtors in Scottsdale or whatever, and they start seeing what we have. Well, who would you rather work with? Someone that looks comfortable on TV, or someone that has great stats, but there's no like social or videos or anything.
Yep.
So I think that has been a byproduct of all these years of us doing what we do.
Yeah,
That's
what
awesome,
a great exercise. Like, go right now and Google yourself and what comes
Seriously.
up. What comes up, and that's what your consumer sees. Like, when they,
Absolutely.
after they leave the open house or whatever listing presentation, they're probably Googling you before the listing presentation, but still, they're Googling you, and that's a representation, whether you like it or not, of your power in marketing of your brand.
Well, and one thing too, like, for us, and we won't go down the Zillow rabbit hole, but now that they're kind of peeling back the agents, and, you can't put your houses no longer have your name on it. They're fishing out of their own barrel. The Zillow reviews was always a big thing that us as real estate agents, we would leverage. Like, go look at my Zillow reviews. Well, about 3.5 years ago, we decided, let's start doing Google reviews. And I am so glad we're almost at like 200 reviews on Google.
Wow.
Nice.
Which is really big, because what happens when you Google a business? that little box pops up.
Yep.
Okay. And you're like, the phone numbers, the websites, and then it has reviews and then current pictures. But then when you Google another business and they don't have that, or they only have 2 reviews, you kind of like, I don't know about that one. Let me go on to the next. I mean, if you think about it, reviews are now instilled in our brains as consumers. Even on Amazon, I still get wrapped up in the, you know how they have the, 1,100 reviews, and then you click on this other product and there's 5. You're like, I don't know about that. Let me go on this one.
100%.
You pay an extra 10 cents, but you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what's going on with this real estate world, because they're making it sound like this real estate thing, like these agents, you don't really need an agent. You know what I mean? Like they're circumventing us a little bit, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, it's squeezing the market, right? So there is always going to, like teams like yourself, you guys are going to survive. You're still going to dominate. But what's happening is it's squeezing the market. So that solo agent that is not a top producer is mediocre, and I'm not beating them up, but the Zillows of the world, those type of companies are going to squeeze that side of the market. And that's just, it's going to flip. You're going to see it over the next decade flip to where it doesn't replace a real estate agent, but they are just taking a piece of the pie that the mediocre agent was in.
Well, I've removed myself from all those Facebook groups that are the realtor, I can't even think of one now, because I deleted myself out of all of them, because the agents in there are in panic mode. The commission compression and things like that, when they start squawking and complaining about, it was a $1.5 million listing. They were only giving 2%. Okay. I'll take that all day long.
Yeah.
I'll take 100 of those. But the solo agent in their mind is going, well, I deserve that. Well, guess what? You need to sell more. And so I would jump in there and go, you just need to sell more. And then that creates this whole thing. I'm like, okay, this is way too negative. I'm removing myself, because everyone's whining right now.
Well, that's the business owner mentality that you have. That's the business owner mentality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sell more. If you have the system in place, then you can do it. Sell more. If you're the solo agent or you're a small team and you don't have your systems and processes in place, to sell more makes you go, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And I think that's the problem right now. People need to look at this as a business.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, you can't treat it like a hobby. All right, we got to ask you, because we ask, pretty much everybody who comes on the show, especially someone like you, you've built a successful real estate team with your wife. You guys are absolutely killing it. Even in a pandemic, you're doing 196 deals. What are the routines that you implement in your life that has driven success for you?
One thing that we started probably 6 years ago is our cell phones are not plugged in next to our beds. Okay. Mine's plugged in the kitchen. She puts hers in the bathroom. Once we wake up, we are not allowed to look at our phones. Okay. So we don't look at our phones probably for the first hour of awakening, because we all know when you look at a phone, and you're like, text message, appraisal doesn't come on. You're like, oh, Jesus. And then you stub your toe on the bed, and then you spill your coffee, and you're like, oh, it's going to be one of those days. Boo-hoo, right? So we eliminate that piece. We go over affirmations. I journal. I have a little 5-minute journal. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those where, what are you grateful for today?
That's
what would
awesome.
make today great? I like to read. Some days I can read 3 words and I'm like, what the hell did I just read? I know that those days are going to be good because I'm fired up. There's other days where I might read 10 sentences. I might read 2 pages, or I might even read a half a chapter, and I go with it. And so I like to take that morning, because that first hour is 100% my time. It's pure. There's no involvement from anyone else except me. Now, sometimes what happens is, and once again, my wife and I go in our little corners and do our thing. Sometimes the conversation that comes out of that morning, like, the ideas and things like that, are things that take our business to the next level. And so that has been the biggest game changer for us, is the morning rituals of getting the day started right.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. That
Game
is
changer.
awesome.
Yep.
You want to ask him the final?
Well, I was going to say, this might be dangerous territory
Yeah,
because of how
seriously.
you started your history, but we always ask everyone, what would you go back and tell your younger self? What would you tell younger Dave?
I would say find a mentor, okay? Because the whole mentoring thing, I never got into that, or a coach or any of that stuff. I would say go back, find yourself a mentor, find a group of people to take you to the next level, okay? Instead of, don't find the group of guys that want to party really hard and go buy dime bags, okay? Like that didn't do me very good. That didn't get me to the next level, but I had to learn the hard way. But
Do you have a mentor now? Do you have a mentor now in your business? Do you have a mentor now in your business?
Yeah, we actually have. So when I first joined, my wife was with Tom Ferry.
Yep.
I caught the tail end of that. I'm like, okay, we need more. Then we went with another coaching program that was, Workman Systems, which was more of how do you structure a team? Okay, so we got the basic 101, and then it got to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm getting bored. We need something else. We went maybe 6-12 months without a coach, and then I was like, I want someone that will call me out on my own shit. I want someone, I need a business coach. I wanted to stay away from the real estate piece because I kind of feel there's pros and cons behind that. So we were introduced to a gentleman through a friend of mine that's uber successful, and he's in Australia. And I went about 30 days. I talked to him for an hour once a week. I went 30 days. I said, Glenn, time out. I need to get my wife on this, because if I don't, her and I are going to go two separate directions. I got my wife on it. And then next thing you know, the team, our TC, our listing coordinator. So on our whole team, everyone gets a 1-hour session with him on a weekly basis. And I pay for all this because the value in that is phenomenal.
That's
phenomenal.
Amazing.
I love what you said there. When you got bored, you didn't just figure you learned it all, man. You went out and found someone else to challenge even more. Love that.
Well, I think you have to. Listen, there's some people, there's nothing wrong with selling your 150, 100 houses a year.
Yeah.
You go on vacations and you chill out and you have fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But some of us want more. And that's the beauty of setting goals. Not all of us want the same thing. And so we're able to, position ourselves in this manner to go to that next level.
Yeah.
Going to the next level is fun. It's really the journey. Because, you stand on the podium and you wave at everyone. That's really not it for me. It's that journey on the way there.
So well said.
That makes it fun.
All right, Dave, thank you so much for being here. Before we close out, please let people know how they can connect with you, learn more about your team.
You can go on our website, thepanozzoteam.com. Check us out on Instagram, The Panozzo Team. Or just reach out. All my contact information is on our website. Would love to chat with you if you want to know some tips and tricks, or if you just need a kick in the ass. Either way, I'll be more than glad to help you.
Awesome, man. Thanks again so much for showing up. Thank you all for listening. To dive deeper into this episode, you can get those links that Dave mentioned, as well as the video, and see Dave's nice background. Man, we were complimenting him on his background earlier. I think it's so important, in today's day and age. You got to have a nice...
Got to look professional. I love the American flag.
We're about to get a new background soon, hopefully. Yeah. So we're going to be moving studios soon, up our game as well. You can head on over to Stay Paid Podcast to get all of that. If you're interested in supporting the show, there's only 2 ways that we ask you to do it. The first is to head on over to Apple Podcast, leave a review and a 5-star rating. Dave said it here on the podcast. People go to the reviews and the shows and the products that have the reviews. So we need some more reviews so we can read them on the show. And the best way to help out is to tell a friend about this episode. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can always email us at podcast@ReminderMedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on social media. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, and I'm Luke Acree. And what a great episode. I would encourage you, as your action item for this episode, is start getting reviews on Google. The reason why I say that specifically is because you got Dave here and his team, 196 transactions. Will Penny, who we interviewed in Ohio, does like 200, around the same exact. And he swears by it was when he made the switch to getting reviews on Google. So if you're not getting reviews on Google right now, you're missing out. So take action on that. Remember, The difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer in every single industry Josh and I have worked in is top producers take action. Take action on that today.